The Phantom Spy is born. June 6, 1944. London, England. The rain comes in sideways against the windows of a small, dimly lit flat near Paddington Station. Inside, a man with slick-back hair and calm, tired eyes hunches over a radio set. His fingers hover over the dials like a pianist before the final note. The clock on the wall ticks toward dawn. The invasion has begun, but he can't say that. Not yet. Juan Pujol García, known to the Germans as Agent Arabel and to the British as Agent Garbo, leans forward, speaking into the microphone in perfect, cultured Spanish. Report from my sub-agent in Kent. Allied divisions remain stationed here, preparing for the main attack at Calais. His voice is steady, convincing. Every word is a lie. Across the channel, in a bunker in Paris, German WWII officers listen to the same coded transmission and nod approvingly. Their prized agent, this soft-spoken Spaniard with impeccable sources, has once again confirmed what their own reconnaissance can't. Calais. The invasion is coming to Calais. But outside Juan's window, reality tells another story. Allied troops are storming the beaches of Normandy under thick gray clouds and pounding artillery fire. Operation Overlord is unfolding, and Garbo's deception, his fictional army of sub-agents, generals, and dock workers, is doing its job perfectly. The German High Command hesitates to move their armored division south. They believe the real invasion is still to come. One exhales slowly. The sound of the rain hides his heartbeat. He knows that for every minute the Germans delay, more Allied soldiers live. Yet there's something deeply surreal about this moment. He's lying to people who trust him most, men who think he's one of them. It hadn't started like this. 2 years earlier, Juan was an unknown in neutral Spain. No formal training, no espionage connections. Just a man who despised fascism and wanted to make a difference. The war had consumed Europe, and he felt powerless watching it from the sidelines. He first approached the British embassy in Madrid with an offer to spy on Germany. They turned him away, politely but firmly. "We're not in the business of recruiting amateurs," they said. So Juan turned to the Germans instead. He walked into the WWII office and claimed he could build a network of loyal agents across Britain. The Germans, desperate for eyes inside enemy territory, gave him money, invisible ink, and a radio transmitter. They told him to recruit contacts and report on troop movements in London. But Juan never went to London. From a small flat in Lisbon, he opened an atlas and invented an army. He created fictional agents, 27 of them, each with backstories, families, and roles. There was a Welsh dock worker who overheard naval orders, a Scottish courier who carried classified letters, a typist in Whitehall, and even a disgruntled officer stationed near Dover. He mailed reports to his German handlers, meticulously researched using newspapers and travel guides. His information was precise enough to seem authentic, but vague enough to protect real operations. The WWII was thrilled. They believed him completely. And when he finally reached London, after the British realized what a genius liar they rejected, his legend only grew. The MI5 handlers who took him in couldn't believe the scale of his invention. "You build an entire spy network out of thin air," one officer said. "We'll keep it that way." Now, 2 years later, that network was the backbone of Operation Fortitude, the grand deception keeping the Germans frozen while Normandy burned. Garbo adjusts his microphone and begins another transmission. Additional reports suggest a main landing force remains poised for Calais. The Normandy assault appears to be a diversion. Static hums. Somewhere in France, a German officer scribbles those words into his notebook, sealing the fate of countless soldiers still waiting for orders to move. One leans back and closes his eyes. He's exhausted, but he allows himself one fleeting thought. If they only knew the truth. He's the most trusted spy in the German network, because every word he's ever told them is a perfect lie. The web of lies expands. Spring 1943. Lisbon, Portugal. The air is heavy with cigarette smoke and tension. Juan Pujol García sits in a small cafe overlooking the Avenida de Liberdade, a stack of coded letters tucked neatly in his coat pocket. Across from him, a German intelligence officer named Karl-Erik Kalentel sips black coffee, eyes scanning the Spaniard's face for any hint of deceit. "Your agents," Kalentel says, voice low but eager. "They are reliable?" Juan meets his gaze, calm as a still lake. "Absolutely. They risk everything for the Reich. One is stationed near Glasgow. Another has friends in the Admiralty. They despise Churchill's lies as much as I do. It's an easy performance. One has rehearsed every line, every breath. But behind that calm exterior is a flurry of silent calculation. He knows Kalentel isn't a fool, one slip, one inconsistency, and the Abwehr will realize his entire spy ring exists only on paper. When the meeting ends, Juan walks home through the drizzle, thinking of the people who don't exist yet. The courier in Liverpool, the naval observer in Plymouth, the airfield mechanic near Bristol, all of them figments of his imagination. Yet soon, their reports will fill the desks of German intelligence headquarters in Madrid and Berlin. He spends nights cross-referencing British newspapers, military journals, even radio broadcasts, crafting each fake report with the precision of a surgeon. Every letter must sound plausible, but not too accurate, just enough to earn trust without drawing scrutiny. By late 1943, the Germans are convinced that Arabel, their star agent, commands a vast spy network. They begin sending him money, large sums for his operatives. MI5 watches the cash flow with astonishment. The British have turned Juan's imaginary agents into a weapon of pure deception. At Bletchley Park, where codebreakers listen to German transmissions day and night, Juan's reports begin appearing in decrypted traffic. The Abwehr quotes him constantly. They treat his network like gospel. When he mentions troop movements or convoy schedules, the Germans respond with analysis and praise. One Abwehr officer even calls him one of our most valuable assets in Britain. The irony is almost unbearable. Inside MI5 headquarters on St. James's Street, Juan now works under the supervision of Thomas Harris, a calm, sharp-eyed officer who sees the Spaniard's brilliance for what it is, a masterpiece of controlled illusion. Harris ensures every report Garbo sends fits perfectly into the broader web of Allied deception operations. Together, they construct Fortitude South, a phantom army under the command of General George S. Patton, supposedly preparing to invade Calais. Garbo's fictional subagents report on troop assemblies, dummy tanks, and non-existent divisions. To make it all believable, Allied engineers build life-size inflatables and wooden aircraft along the English coast. British radio operators send fake chatter about logistics, supply drops, and weather delays. And Garbo ties it all together with a steady stream of reports to Berlin. In one message, he claims to have spoken with a naval engineer in Dover who overheard details about invasion craft heading for Calais. In another, he reports a Welsh seaman seeing troop concentrations near the Thames. Each message is carefully timed, matching Allied radio traffic that German intelligence intercepts. Soon, the Abwehr's analysts see the pattern they expect. A massive invasion force preparing to strike across the Strait of Dover. Normandy barely registers. Juan becomes a ghost, moving between MI5 safe houses, delivering coded radio messages under flickering lamplight, always one step ahead of suspicion. He begins to sense the scale of what he's built. His lies are no longer just stories. They're shaping military strategy across Europe. In Berlin, senior intelligence officers send congratulations. They award Arabel the Iron Cross for exceptional service to the Reich. The irony of it, being honored by the enemy for deceiving them, makes one laugh quietly to himself. But there's no time to celebrate. The Allies are preparing for D-Day, and Garbo's network will be the keystone of the deception. As spring turns to summer, Juan knows that one more performance, one final illusion, must hold firm. If it fails, the entire invasion could crumble before it begins. He lights a cigarette, staring through the haze at the map of Europe pinned to the wall. 27 fake spies. 27 voices whispering lies into the heart of the Nazi war machine. And every one of them speaks through him. The deception before the storm. May 1944. London, England. The city hums like a coiled spring. Every rooftop, every corridor, alive with anticipation. Trucks grind through the rain-darkened streets, carrying crates marked top secret. Dock workers whisper about strange balloon tanks being shipped to the southern coast. Soldiers vanish from barracks under the cover of night. Inside a safe house near Regent's Park, Juan Pujol García adjusts the tuning dial of his radio. The room smells faintly of oil, paper, and burnt coffee. Across from him, his British handler, Thomas Harris, spreads a large map of France across the table. Red pins mark Calais, Boulogne, and Dieppe. Normandy is barely dotted, its beaches deliberately ignored. Berlin must believe, Harris says quietly, that Patton's first U.S. Army group will strike Calais. If they shift their reserves south before the invasion, it could cost us everything. Juan nods, rolling a pencil between his fingers. His eyes scan the map like a chess player studying the board before the final move. I'll give them something so convincing, he murmurs. They'll swear it came from the Führer's own desk. That night, Garbo's message crackles through the airwaves, bound for the German embassy in Madrid, and relayed to Berlin. My agent operating in Dover reports unusual naval traffic. He believes landing craft are assembling for a major assault. Estimated strength, 20 divisions, likely to strike Pas-de-Calais. It's a perfect fabrication, supported by layers of deception. Dummy landing craft built from plywood, fake radio chatter between phantom regiments, even falsified weather reports. Everything the Germans intercept aligns with Garbo's story. In France, the 15th Army, Hitler's best-equipped coastal defense force, receives orders to remain stationed near Calais. They wait for an invasion that will never come. Meanwhile, the real invasion force, over 150,000 men, quietly masses along the south coast of England. At Bletchley Park, analysts monitor Enigma decrypts confirming that the Germans have swallowed Garbo's lies whole. One officer, reviewing intercepted messages, can barely believe it. They're still expecting Calais, he says. They think Normandy is just a diversion. Juan continues transmitting, keeping the illusion alive with meticulous precision. He sends weather observations, morale reports, even fictional complaints from his agents about payment delays and personal troubles. Each detail reinforces the reality of his fake network. The Germans respond with gratitude and more money. Then on June 6, 1944, the invasion begins. The skies over Normandy glow with tracer fire. The sea roars with the engines of landing craft. Allied paratroopers drop through clouds, their parachutes blooming like ghostly flowers in the night. And in London, Garbo sits silently by his radio, waiting. He knows his next transmission is the most important of his life. Too early and the deception collapses. Too late and the Germans might realize the truth. Hours pass before he keys in his report. Apology for delay in transmission. Enemy air raids disrupted communications. My agents confirm minor landings along Normandy coast, likely diversionary in nature. Main assault still expected Calais. In Berlin, the Abwehr decodes a message and forwards it to the High Command. The reaction is immediate. German divisions remain frozen in the north, unwilling to leave Calais undefended. For days, critical days, the deception holds. By the time Hitler finally realizes the truth, it's too late. Allied troops have secured the beaches and begun pushing inland. Normandy is lost. France will follow. And all the while, Garbo continues to send updates to his German masters, calm, dutiful, loyal. He congratulates them on their excellent analysis and assures them his agents are still gathering intelligence on the supposed Calais buildup. Somewhere in a smoke-filled office in Paris, a German colonel smiles, believing his man in London has once again delivered the truth. He doesn't know that one Pujol García, Agent Garbo, has just helped decide the fate of the war. The spy who fooled a Reich. July 1944. The Channel coast burns beneath Allied artillery. German supply lines crack. Cities fall one after another. Saint-Lô, Cherbourg. Yet in Berlin, disbelief lingers. For weeks after D-Day, the WWII insists that the main Allied blow is still coming at Calais. They trust one man above all others to confirm it, Agent Arabel. Inside his small London flat, Juan Pujol García sits beside his radio set, a faint hum filling the room. His face is drawn, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. The war outside is changing rapidly, but his task remains the same, to keep the Germans blinded, even as the truth becomes impossible to hide. Berlin requests confirmation. Thomas Harris says quietly, reading from a decoded message. They're asking why Patton hasn't moved yet. They think Normandy is still a distraction. One exhales slowly, almost in disbelief. They still believe? He asks, voice soft. Harris nods. Completely. They trust you more than they trust their own generals. Garbo leans forward and begins to type another message into the Enigma-style cipher. Each keystroke feels heavier than the last. Primary forces remain in Kent and Sussex. Patton continues to prepare for the decisive blow. My sub-agents confirm German defenses at Calais are achieving their purpose. Enemy will soon reveal his hand. He stops for a moment, hands trembling slightly. Outside, the church bells of London toll faintly, muffled by the rain. The weight of the lie presses down on him. He knows that thousands of German soldiers are dying under false expectations. Men convinced the war can still be won if they just hold Calais. For the British, this is the point of no return. Operation Fortitude has done more than deceive. It's paralyzed entire divisions, delayed reinforcements, and ensured the success of Overlord. Every false report Garbo sends buys the Allies another day, another victory. But beneath the triumph lies something darker. Juan begins to understand the psychological cost of the deception. He's living two lives. To the Germans, a loyal spy decorated for bravery. To the British, a ghost who can never be publicly acknowledged. Even his wife, Araceli, struggles with the strain. She knows her husband is serving two masters, but only one truly trusts him. In August 1944, Garbo receives a message from Berlin. They have awarded him the Iron Cross, personally approved by Hitler himself. The WWII praises his exceptional service to the Reich and invaluable intelligence contributions. He reads the telegram in silence, a strange smile crossing his face. He's being honored by the very regime he's helping destroy. Thomas Harris pins the medal to the wall as a grim souvenir. You might be the only man in history, he says, to receive medals from both sides. Because months later, after the war's end, Britain will quietly bestow upon one the MBE, member of the Order of the British Empire, for his service in deceiving Nazi Germany. But in 1944, there's no celebration, only fatigue. The mission isn't over yet. Garbo continues to send fabricated intelligence through the autumn, reinforcing Allied feints about secondary landings in Norway and southern France. Even as the German front collapses, Berlin still clings to his reports. Then one night, after another long session of coded transmissions, one sits in the dark, staring at his silent radio. The rain outside taps the glass softly. For the first time, he allows himself to think about the aftermath. What happens when the war ends, when the lies stop? He's outsmarted some of the most ruthless intelligence officers in history, manipulated an empire of fear, and changed the course of a world war. Yet he feels strangely hollow. His entire identity, Garbo, Arabel, the master deceiver, is built on smoke. When peace comes, what will remain of him? Years later, when the dust settles and Europe begins to heal, the full extent of his deception will emerge. Historians will call him the man who won D-Day without firing a shot. To this day, his fictional network remains one of the most elaborate and successful intelligence operations in history. But in that moment, in the quiet of a London night, Juan Pujol García is simply a man with a radio, a map, and a conscience heavy with secrets. He turns the dials one last time, sending his final transmission into the ether. The coded message hums across the airwaves, an echo of the greatest lie ever told. Then he switches off the radio, stands slowly, and whispers to no one in particular. It's done. The war of deception is over.